Hi book friends, this is Kat and I'm back with another video. Okay, so for this video, I noticed that there was a tag going around, and actually it's my first tag, so I'm excited to share some books based off of this, but it is the book recommendations tag. For today's video, I tried not to repeat some books, though it was a bit hard, but I really tried to get a variety out there. So I don't know who created this tag. If I can find it, I will link it below. But I know I saw this on Stacy's channel from Wondering with Stacy, I believe is the channel name, but I'll leave that link down below. But there are 15 prompts, and yeah, we're just gonna dive right in. So for prompt number 1, it is a book you tell people that is your favorite. And is there any surprise? It's a Tessa Afshar book, but this is the book that I keep telling people is my absolute favorite. It's her Land of Silence book, and you've probably heard me talked about it a lot before, but I just love this book. I really connected with Alana, with just the emotions she's going through, and just that piece where she just talks with Jesus is so sweet. And yeah, honestly, any Tessa Afshar book is my favorite, but this one was like number 1. So that's the one I picked for the first prompt, or the first recommendation. The next one, it says a book that is your guilty pleasure, and this one was a little hard to interpret. I guess how I'm going to interpret this is a book that I'm not hoping to glean anything from. It's just something to read just for fun, and just to have it's just a little different from what I usually read. And so I picked Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tirzah Price. This is actually the second book in her Jane Austen murder mystery series, and they're all companion novels, but I only have the second one. My sister's currently has the first one in the series, but I really like the way she uses classics and rewrites them in like murder mystery ways. So I'm not a huge mystery reader, cozy mystery reader, but I do enjoy the spins that she does create. I already, the classic, so it's not really a huge mystery component to it. It's just a fun, fast read. And I like the hardbacks a lot because isn't that beautiful? You don't really see a hot pink cover. And so, the front is also pretty. But the other book had like I think it's a bright green. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna answer, and just the series in total. And the third book is due to come out in June. So I can't wait to get that one. I think that one's based off of Mansfield Park. All right, number 3, a book everyone loved, but you didn't. This one, I am going to put, I think it's Katharine McGee who has written the book, but I can't remember, it's been a while, but here's a picture, and that is the American Royal series. I heard about this really early on BookTube, and I liked watching up to a certain point The Crown on Netflix, and then I stopped watching it. But it gave me those vibes, and so I picked it up. It did grip me. I will say that it was very much as if America had a king and queen, so to speak. And it just follows the young woman who is, ready to become queen one day. And it was gripping because it puts you in that world, yes, about what if we did have, a monarchy. But it was just a lot of drama, a lot of different, it was closed door as much as I can remember as far as scenes went, but it was just the messiness of it. I guess different people sleeping with different people and just a lot of drama, and that's it. It was just too much, and I powered through it because I figured it was going to go in one direction. So I did read the second one, but immediately after a few pages in the second one, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not a good book for me. So anyway, I didn't like it. So yeah. All right, the next one says a book I've read the fastest. And that one is going to be a NetGalley book because, it was very gripping. It was my first T.I. Lowell book. And so it's Indigo Isle. And this is actually going to be coming out in the summertime. And I've read that book in like 2 days. So I have a whole review off of this book. And that is in my playlist. And so if you want to see a more depth review of it, you can check that out. But for those who just want a quick synopsis, it's about a young girl named Sunny who is a location scout person, where she go and looks for places for movies, scenes or movie sets. So she makes sure that the location is set and that the crew arrives on time and handles their schedule and basically gets everything ready. And she ends up meeting this man who lives on Indigo Isle, and he's just this recluse, and it just follows their relationship with each other and what's been going on in their lives, and basically the story just unfolds from there. There are some trigger warnings there just to let you know, and again, there's a more in-depth review of that down in my playlist. But yeah, I definitely read this the fastest. It was very engaging, and I am gonna keep a lookout for T.I. Lowell's books. The next one is a book that deserves more hype, and I have a nonfiction. I'm really big in historical fiction, and I do like nonfiction a lot. I found that out. So this one is one of those, and it is called Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. A devout Muslim encounters Christianity. And it's by, I'm going to try my best, Nabil Kurish, I don't know, but I did my best. This one I heard years ago somewhere on BookTube, and I don't know if she's making videos anymore as far as like reading videos, but I heard about this book there, and it's actually one of my 5-star books that I have read. This man, it was a Muslim, and he talks about, his culture, or just talks about the religion and how he grew up and just how devout, Muslim he was, and how he was really searching for God, because that's all he wanted, just to get closer. And it is his testimony how he comes from being a Muslim and converts to Christianity. But not only that, it's just finding Jesus, not just God. And he explains a little bit more like kind of differences in that, but he finds Jesus, and from that was like the spark that pushes him to be an advocate for Christ, and like an ambassador for Christ, and just wanting to reach especially his community. And so it was a really, really powerful testimony, and I would learn so much too about the Islam, I'm sorry, is the religion. But I've learned so much about it, like what they kind of believed and like how they interpret certain things, and just seeing his conversion. And it wasn't like a boom one day, it was a process, and it was even him like fighting, you know, through some things. And I just found it really captivating, really amazing. It read very well, and this is a great, powerful testimony, and I would highly, highly recommend it. I don't hear much about it. At first, the title can be a little off-putting. I think that's why I was a little like hesitant at first, just to see like, okay, never heard of this person. I'm not really sure, but I would recommend it for a good nonfiction read. So. Okay, number 6 says a book that is becoming a movie/TV show. I don't have a recommendation for this. I don't know of any TV series. I even try to look it up to see like, have I read any books that are becoming that? And no, I know they're making a Persuasion series on Netflix, but I honestly haven't read Persuasion yet, so I can't recommend that one. But I know like they made books, like if you've seen my TBR video, I Can Only Imagine, that one was made into a movie, but that was years ago, so I don't have any recent ones for you, unfortunately, but we'll just skip that one. The next one says a book you have reread the most. And this one, it will be Tessa Afshar's book, and the first one I've ever read from her, and that is In a Field of Grace. And this is the Ruth and Boaz retelling. I've reread it the most because I read it with my husband, because I was really touched. I was like, I want to read it again, and I want you to hear from it. And so he was a trooper, because normally romances are, his thing. So, but it was definitely a book that I reread and I still loved. And I think a lot of it has to do with that each chapter goes with a biblical verse. Like this one is Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And then you read. And so each chapter does have that. So, and this one started it all. Basically, I was just hooked on every single book that she has written. And so, yep, this one I reread the most. The next prompt says, a book from a genre you don't typically read. This one is going to be a middle grade / children's series, and that is the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't normally read middle grade or children, but this series I've really enjoyed, and I want to get a little bit more into middle grade just because I do teach 6th grade, and so recommending books is always a good, it's always something that I'm kind of thinking about. Even though I don't teach reading, I actually teach music, so but I have some readers in my class, and I just want to be able to connect with them. But anyway, so like I said, the Chronicles of Narnia, I would very much recommend it, and we're enjoying it. We're gonna listen to The Last Battle, and this is something that we want to share with our kids one day. So, all right. And the next one says a book that deserves all the hype it gets, and this one is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and this is a good sci-fi kind of book. I enjoyed reading it. My husband read it before me and was like, you need to read it. So I definitely have been hearing a lot about it on YouTube for quite a while, and so I would highly, highly recommend. This book is about a man in space, and he kind of just wakes up, and he's just he doesn't know what's going on. He can't remember his name, how he got there, and it's just you're kind of seeing the story unfolding throughout the book. And so it was quirky, it was funny, and that's it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The next one says, a book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. And this is where I start to like try to pick certain books, but I have a lot I could say. Tessa Afshar, definitely any of her books. The one that I have here, and I'm gonna just show all her different books, is Pearl in the Sand, and that's a beautiful foiling. So this is the 10th edition they redid. And so anyway, I would recommend any one of her books. This one, I wanted to just share that it's a Rahab retelling, and this one almost made me cry, actually. So, you know, it follows Rahab, her story, not just from Jericho, but even after Jericho. And I mean, Tessa Afshar always writes great love stories too. So if you like love stories, there you go. It's got that biblical fiction, and it's close to scripture. So historical fiction or biblical fiction, if that's your thing, there you go. Close to scripture, there you go. So anyway, it just depends on the person. It depends on which book I would recommend to that person. Each character does go through something a little different. So I'm sure there is a Tessa Afshar book that will speak to just about anyone. So the next one is a book that has your favorite characters. And this one I'm picking Daughter of Rome. Beautiful cover. And again, I'm trying not to repeat because I could have said Land of Silence for a lot of this, but I'm trying to show different books. But I love the story of Priscilla and Aquila in the New Testament. And this is that story. This is Priscilla, and it follows her story, meeting Aquila, and then just the church afterwards. I think my fondness coming from the story, my fondness for the story of Priscilla Aquila comes from my first year of marriage, where there was a period of time where I stayed home while my husband worked a different job, and there was a lot of alone time at my house. So I did a women's, like I had a book about that big, and it was like a women's Bible, or reading through the women in scripture type of devotional. And when I got to Priscilla's story and just deep diving, because it's supposed to be a week long for each of the women, so it was pretty thick. But when I got to Priscilla's story, it just talked about how she was being a hostess and opened her house up to the first church, and how her and her husband were leaders. And it got me thinking. And I told my husband that is something where I felt like I wanted our house to be, our house to be open, and for us to be, you know, those leaders, and really help grow, you know, our just the community that we were in, like our church community, and our house being open for prayer, for encouragement, for even discipleshiping. And, you know, this was our first year of marriage. We're currently going on, we just hit our 5 years. So, and just looking back at just how all God has done, I mean, our house is like now meeting with a group of people once a month for prayer and encouragement. So it all sparked like that first year of marriage where I was reading through that devotional. And so when I found this book, it rekindled that. And so I guess I have a special kind of connection with that Priscilla and Aquila in scripture. And I was glad that I was able to read a book, a fictionalized version of them. And so, yeah. Okay, a book you wish you could live in. And I'm going to put up a picture of one of the, or if I can find the book box set, but Anne of Green Gables series. Every time I listen to it, because I've listened it to on audiobook, I just picture myself, up at Prince Edward's Island. I've even looked it up on the maps a couple of times, and maybe one day I'll go and visit the place. It just sounds so serene. It sounds so beautiful. It's definitely makes my heart want that quietness. So I would put that as my place I wish I could live. The next one is a book you thought you would hate but ended up loving. This one I had was C.S. Lewis, The Screwtape Letters, and I saw this book in college. One of my friends, he was reading, or he had this book, and I looked at it and I wondered what it was about. And when he told me it was written by a demon to another demon, I was very shocked, not to say the least, because I knew him to be a Christian and a very devout in like Bible studies and stuff. And so to me it shocked me, because I thought, why are you reading about this? And then when I saw C.S. Lewis, I also was like, why did he write a book about demons? So I was skeptical, to say the least. So eventually, I did take a C.S. Lewis course in college, and my professor talked a little bit about this book. And then, fast forward a couple of years, I decided, okay, I'm going to pick it up, because there might be more to it than just what meets the eye. Because even though it's about two demons writing to each other, there is something like they're writing about how to cause this man to fall in his Christian faith. And so I thought to give it a try, and I ended up really liking it. It wasn't easy to read. Let's just say that. C.S. Lewis has a way of writing, and I could see that in his Chronicles of Narnia books, but when reading it, it definitely made me see things differently, being very much aware, okay, yes, we do have an enemy out there. He doesn't want us to be with God. His ultimate goal is to separate us from God. And so this book gives us a glimpse of how the enemy works to try to get us to not be close to Christ, or not to be close to God. So it's not really about being a Christian. It's more of the deeper things, again, the way we have that relationship with God, or just how he can separate us from that, whether through apathy, through skepticism, doubt, all these different things. So anyway, so it was great to talk about this with my husband, because in his writings, I would recommend, if you can, just go through his books with someone to basically help with that discussion or understanding, because going and reading it on my own was one thing, but when discussing it with my husband was another. And it really opened up conversations, or maybe it opened up conversations. And not only that, it also helped me to see things in a different way. And so I would recommend this book. So the next one is a book that made you cry. And I already went through a couple of these, but In a Field of Grace, basically was very teary-eyed, especially towards the end. Pearl in the Sand, again, that also almost made me cry. Another one I had very emotionally connected with, or even just almost cried, was Long Way Gone by Charles Martin. That one was, oh my goodness, that one was really good. And the last one is a book you wish you could read for the first time. And I'm going to put this one on because I did just finish it, and I really enjoyed it. Kind of has like that little mystery in there, I guess, and you want to figure out what is going on, but at the same time, just when you meet the characters, when you develop the story, the plot line, like I wish, I guess it's just so funny. This had me laughing out loud. Like a couple of times where I did laugh out loud, and my husband just like looks over and he's just like, he's perplexed. He's like, you don't usually laugh when you read. He's like, what happened? And so I would read the little thing to him, and anyway, so I'm hoping I will have that same reaction, but I kind of know like now what's gonna happen. So, but this is a good book. So it is by Renee Gutteridge, and I cannot wait to read the sequel or the second book in the series. So that was the book recommendations tag. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you got some inspiration, and I will see you in another video. Bye guys.